Bakit nagkaganito ang bundok nito? Ang laki ng ipinagbago, buhat ng isang bakasyon na umakyat tayo dito.
Oo nga, Itay, ano? Nawala na yung malalaking puno na pinapahinga natin. Wala na yung mga ingay ng dahon.
Hindi rin pala ito pinatawad ng mga mangangahoy.
Alam ko na kasi malaking pera ang kikitain nila sa kahoy na kinukuha nila dito. Pero ang hindi nila alam, Itay, malaki rin pinsala yun sa kagubatan.
Tingnan mo, parang sinunog nila itong kagubatan eh.
Oo nga po, no? Ang ikinalulungkot ko, Itay, hindi alam ng mga mangangahoy na yun na inilalagay rin nila sa kapahamakan ang buhay ng mga taga rito.
O sige, pagtulungan natin to. Magkampanya tayo na muling magtanim ng puno sa kagubatang ito.
Sa 50 katuig, ang mensahe sang paglaom nagapadayon nga nagapalayag sa kahanginan. Nagatandog sa mga tagipusoon kag nagabago sa mga kabuhi. Bangod kung ano ang ginsugdan sang Dios, iyagid nga humanon. Ini ang 1233 DYVS. Nagawaragwag sang maayong balita sa tunga ka siglo.
Hulubaton Kapitulo 4 versikulo 6 pakadto 7. Hindi pag-isikway ang kaalam, kundi hatagi ini sang importansya, kay magatipig ini sa imo. Ang kaalam o kunang pag-intindi, amo ang pinaka-importante sa tanan. Gani tinguan mo gid nga maangkon mo ini, bisan maubos ang tanan mo nga pagkabutang. Mangin mainalamon sa pagtukib sang katahom kag importansya sang aton kultura kag kinaiya. Uptanay kita sa Kinaadman.
Good afternoon, Western Visayas. Welcome back to DYVS Radio 1233 Kinaadman. And this is speaking
with Arnie
and Anne. And this is now our 7th episode. Time flies.
Well, I hope that we still have our speaker listeners with us from the very beginning until this episode. Please keep listening, keep speaking, because I'm sure you're going to learn another, what should I say? I don't want to say lesson. It seems like this is a class. I don't want to say a lesson, but I hope that you're going to learn something useful again from this episode.
Exactly. Yes. Personally, I've learned a lot of public speaking tips from my mentor here, Dr. Arnie. Well, I'm learning it firsthand, Doc.
And I hope the others can say that too, just like you.
I'm sure. All right, so the Arnie, our topic for today's episode is current events.
Oh, interesting. I'm telling you, speaker listeners, most of the time we're doing it impromptu. We will just like talk about it and then that's it. And then we just want to go with the flow because I believe that it's more authentic. It's more authentic if we do it this way.
Exactly. It's not scripted at all.
Or we cannot follow any scripts.
Maybe it's because of your personality and mine too, right, Doc?
Yes,
quite spontaneous.
So. Current events. What do you want to know about current events, Anne?
Current events. Well, there's so many things happening on Earth and on social media right now. Yes, and it's important to know about current events so that we can use them for our speeches, or we can relate to the topics even more when we do some research about them. For example,
sorry, and I'm just very excited to share. Because I have the experience about this on why we should know current events. Sorry to cut you. Yes, please, Anne, continue with what you're saying.
It's okay, Doc. So it's really important to know current events or to just be aware of what is happening right now, let's say in the Philippines or in Thailand or here in Vietnam, so that we can also be relatable, right, to our audience, just in case we need to speak something about that certain topic or about that experience. Yeah, we can share more experiences.
Yes, it will help you a lot in writing and thinking of your contents.
Exactly. And it would also increase your value as a public speaker, right?
Of course, because the people can relate to your topic and to your contents, because if you know current events, it only means that it's something that people are interested in. They want to know more. Like, for example, I'm not sure in Vietnam, but in Thailand about the politics. Of course, we're not going to talk about politics, but I'm just giving an example because at the moment it's something that is being talked about in Thailand. Like, for example, the ex-prime minister returned and things like that. So it's very interesting to hear a public speaker talking about the current events.
So, Doc Arnie, I have a question.
Yes.
Actually, I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions for you, but this is the first one that came to my mind. Before you go to an event, what sites or where do you get the information about the current events that you might probably use for your speeches?
For me, it's very helpful if you're going to check. Like, for example, I cannot speak for Vietnam or the Philippines. I've been away from the Philippines for a long time. I've never lived in Vietnam. You have to check which website that you think is very popular in that country. Like, for example, in Thailand, there's one so-called website called Pontip, wherein you can, because people, they share things in that, like, I'm not sure whether it's a big chat group, but it's called Pontip.com, wherein people just share their ideas, share their opinions. The others, they share their reviews about products, about movies and things like that. So it's one of the websites that, if you're going to speak in Thailand, that's one of the websites that you should check.
How do you say it again and spell it?
Pontip, Porntip. So there are some websites that are more popular in some countries, and there are some websites, like, as I said, I don't think that Vietnam has the Pontip.com. I don't think so. It's really Thai. And everything is in Thai, although every now and then there are some English news or ideas or people share and they write it in English, but every now and then it's in Thai. But you can, of course, ask some people to help you translate. So I don't know in Vietnam. How about in Vietnam, Anne? Which website you should check?
I don't know.
I
Maybe VN Express, or I'm not quite sure. So
Facebook?
Nowadays, on Facebook.
Facebook
on
also works for Thailand. Yes. Instagram, of course.
Yeah. I actually check 3. So Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Okay. Again, dear listeners, wherever you are, you have to check what is the most popular website, or famous, if I may say, so that you can read it in advance, what's going on, and then you can use that for your contents. For example, you're speaking for an event. Like last night, I was an MC for an awarding ceremony for a global brand, and then I tried to read something so I can relate with the audience. All of them were like businessmen, all in the corporate world. So I prepared myself that I can talk or I say something that is relatable for them.
Exactly. Very true, Doc Arnie. Because recently, we had this Toastmasters meeting here in Da Nang. And then, it was actually our 7th anniversary.
Wow, 7th already.
7th already. And then, a day before that, our officer, one of the EXCO team members, asked me like, "Hey, Marian, can you give a speech tomorrow?" Wow, that's really, impromptu. I had a few hours to prepare only. And then, since Barbie is trending, there's a Barbie movie, right?
Yes.
And then, yes. And then many people are getting pink stuff and, wearing clothes that are similar to Barbie's clothing. Yeah, so like Barbie songs and soundtrack everywhere here and even on
Barbie,
social
Barbie,
media.
Barbie, Barbie.
Yes, Barbie, Barbie, Barbie. So I said, I have this hair extension, and then maybe I should wear something similar to Barbie because it's also related to my speech.
Nice.
And then there I played the Barbie song, and then all of them were so surprised, like, wow, you look like a Barbie doll here in this meeting. And it's like a cosplay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But for me, I had this experience because I think I mentioned it in one of our episodes wherein I said that I also teach at universities. So in this one university, I was teaching public speaking and presentation skills. So very young students, international students. So some were like 19, 20, so different ages. And on that particular class, I asked them what will be their topics for their speeches. And it was their, I believe, second or third speech for my class. And then I asked them one by one, until like I can't remember how many students. And then this one student said, my topic will be anime. And probably they saw the question on my face. There's a question mark on my face. I said, what? And then that student mentioned the topic again and said, anime. Okay. And then almost all the students look at me, do you know anime? And I said, I don't know whether it's the short name for animal, but I don't know.
Oh,
And
no.
so they explained to me, I was not aware of anime during that time. It was like about maybe 2017, 2018. I'm not sure whether anime was already popular during those times, but I wasn't aware of anime and that word anime. And then they explained, and then I called another student and then gave me another topic, and that student said, I'm going to talk about Blackpink. Again, this was 2017, 2018, and I said, what? And then again, probably my facial expression and the student, do you know? And they called here, the professor is called Ajan. So they said, Ajan, do you know what's the topic? I said, of course. Is that a combination of colors? And they were like laughing, and I said, oh my, that was my first time to hear that there's a K-pop band called Blackpink. I wasn't aware. I didn't know that there was this K-pop Blackpink. How should I know? So that one, I think this is a very good example that we public speakers, although of course this happened in a class. I was not delivering a speech or making a presentation. It was in my class or public speaking class. And then I've learned, I said, I should really expose myself more and make sure that I keep myself updated with what's happening around.
Yes, exactly. That's the word, Doc. Updated. Because let's say we stay offline for a week. Oh, we've missed a lot already. Yeah, there's a certain guy that is saying some Chinese phrases, and then one of the words
Chinese
there.
or Vietnamese, Anne? Sorry.
Chinese.
Chinese.
So he's, I think, from America, but then he was saying some Chinese words in the video. And then my students saw that video, and probably that video was shared already by thousands or millions of people, right? And then the word that captured them was binchilin. You know, binchilin? Binchilin is ice cream. So every time binchilin is
Vietnamese
the word
Chinese
for ice
word.
cream, the Chinese word for ice cream. Yes. And then they kept on saying Binchilin, Binchilin in our classroom. And then one time I was introducing myself to some online public speaking students. And then I mentioned like, oh, I like Sauriang Binchilin. I like Durian Binchilin. So it's like a combined Vietnamese and then Chinese. But then they understand the Chinese word for ice cream. And then of course they know durian. And maybe they would think that, oh, not a lot of foreigners like Sauriang or durian. But then teacher likes it. Wow. And then I saw their faces like, whoa. You know, when you mention something that they know, that they can relate, let's say they're not listening or paying attention to it, and suddenly they were like, they would stop and really listen or smile, right? Yeah, so I've experienced that many times, Doc.
Okay, with me, again, that's the most memorable for me in my public speaking class. And then, actually for me, I always keep myself, like, of course, ready for any speaking engagement, or if I'm making a presentation, delivering a presentation, I make sure that I know more or less about the company or my audience. But of course, current event can also help you a lot, especially if there's Q&A.
Exactly.
Especially
So, Arnie, yes, can you still remember a question in your public speaking journey, or as a trainer or coach in general? Can you remember a question that was being asked and you
Couldn't
could
answer.
maybe you could answer right away because you knew about that current event? Or probably in beauty contests, right? It's so important to know current events so that you could say
course.
some of your opinion.
And now, and as you know, beauty pageants, like of course, Miss Universe is the most famous one. They really ask questions that are current events, the issues, concerns that is happening around. So for me, I can't really recall, like, because questions that I can answer normally, because it's the topic. Like example, especially for my training or for my workshops, if it's the topic of the workshop, I'm really, really prepared. But if it's something that is not related, something that is off topic, then that's something else. But as I try to think about it, I can't recall any a question that really made me like, what's that? No, because from the very beginning, especially in a workshop, for public speaking, it's very rare that they have Q&A. Last time, oh yes, okay, now you made me think of one, and it's very recent. It was in June 1st of June. I believe I also shared here in our radio show, and that I was invited with another speaker, and it was about public speaking with the British Chamber of Commerce in Thailand. I believe I said that in one of our episodes. It wasn't me. The question was addressed to my co-speaker, and it was already her turn. I delivered my speech first, and then my co-speaker, and then during the Q&A, she was the one on stage. I was sitting and just waiting unless they addressed the question directly to me. And if I can remember the question well, if my memory serves me right, what makes you authentic? Something like that. How what's the limitation, or where's the borderline between being too pushy with when you pitch, and especially if you're promoting your brand, and where's the authenticity? That was the question. And then my co-speaker, the speaker who was standing on stage, she said something different than what was the one who's asking question expecting her to say. Until my co-speaker turned to me and said, Annie, how about you? What's your opinion about this? And then I just said it. I said, every time that you're in that kind of situation, just speak from your heart. And you know, the one who asked question said, that's what I was waiting for. I said, okay. No, this is something really like I can really remember because it's very recent. And then the one who asked was very dramatic when he reacted when I said, just speak from your heart and people will know. And he really liked that answer. I said, okay. And my
Wow.
co-speaker was very happy. It's like, you see, that's something that for me, it's not also just being aware of current event. And it's also, of course, how you speak. You see, so it's a combination probably. So that's my answer for your question. How about you, Anne? If I throw back
Wow.
the question to you now. Again, of course, not a question that you were able to answer, but something that was a challenging question for you.
Actually, I just saw this video on the internet, and it was a question for a contestant in a beauty contest. She was asked about the Build, Build, Build program. Yeah, and at that time, probably she didn't have any idea about that program. And probably she answered it in a different way, but she had an answer to that one. So I was wondering, like, so what if you are in a big crowd, you have all the attention of like thousands of people, and then there's a question that you don't know how to answer? How would you react, or how would you respond to that in a way that you can still maintain your poise and
Composure.
your composure? Yeah.
For me,
And
sorry, Anne.
It's okay. It's okay.
Question
Go
now,
for it. Go for it. No. But
For
no.
me,
Yes,
just be
yes.
honest that you don't know. There are two ways to handle that situation. First, be honest that you don't know. I have no idea. It is something that I didn't think of. It is something that I never experienced. Or you answer it and then you try to change the topic into something that you know but somehow related to that question.
Wow, Dr. Arnie, is that also applicable in Toastmasters or in table topics?
Yes, of course. Yes. Remember in Toastmasters, we have this table topic session. So speakers, listeners, if you attend a Toastmaster meeting, there is a session we call table topics wherein we practice impromptu speaking. But actually, and as I always say, there's no impromptu speaking. You are always prepared. You have the knowledge, you have the background, you have your experiences. So you always have the prior knowledge about something. Probably there are some topics that you don't have a complete or probably intensive knowledge about some topics, but we all have experiences, we all have background knowledge about something. So there's no impromptu. I believe I've read this in a book that they said actually there are no impromptu speaking because, again, if I may reiterate, we have the experiences, we have the knowledge, so we know something about some topics, if not all the topics.
At least you can share your 2 cents about it.
Yes. And most of the time, I always encourage people to please just share something that is based on your experience. Then you'll never go wrong. Who can doubt about it? Who can question you about your experience? That's why you can say, in my opinion, based on my experience. Who can say that I don't think you experienced that? How do you know? But see, and let me ask you, because you mentioned about beauty pageant. In the most recent, is it really recent? No, when the owner of Miss Universe changed from someone, I think the last one was from the right? And then it was bought by someone from Thailand. Right? So Miss Universe now is actually owned by someone, a transgender in Thailand. And one of the rules was changed. And now they accept. And for the first time this year in Miss Universe, someone who is married with kids will compete in Miss Universe. And it's a common question, and I've heard it many, many times on YouTube. What can you say about the changes in Miss Universe? Like, for example, encouraging women who are even married with kids to join the contest. And I want to hear your opinion on this, Anne, because I have my own opinion.
Wow. Since there's no impromptu speaking, this is just sharing then. Sharing
Yes.
of what we know, what we already know. The first question that came to my mind before I answer this question, Doc Arnie, is what was the goal of the very first Miss Universe, of the original Miss Universe pageant?
Okay.
Was it for the single ladies only? Was it
Yes,
for...
I believe yes. I believe yes.
Yeah.
I will answer you.
Yes, single. And then, why did they have this age range only from 18? Is it correct? From 18
that's right.
until 29, maybe? Maybe.
20, 27, 28, something to that, like, I
Yeah.
can't also remember. But even now, the age range has increased, I think, until 30-something.
Oh, okay. Wow. So maybe we could go back to the original one. Why did they set those standards or rules before? Probably they have those reasons, right? So maybe they would choose that certain age group so that those ladies who would go around the world to promote Miss Universe, or let's say their cause, would have time to really do their job well, because they only have 1 year to reign, right? And before reigning for 1 year, they have, let's say, months to prepare. So probably they chose that age range, because if they would invite all the wonderful mothers around, what would happen to their kids? What would, let's say, they're lactating moms, who would take care of their
Do you agree?
babies?
So do you agree to that now? That because they already changed the rule, and as I've mentioned, time in the history, someone who is married with kids is going to compete. I just can't remember whether it's Spain again. I can't remember. Yes. And now also, remember transgender, trans women are now also encouraged to join. And as a matter of fact, remember in 2018 when Catriona Gray was crowned as the Miss Universe here in Thailand, there was one transgender from Spain.
True. Exactly.
So, I don't want to talk about transgender now, but let's just talk about the because since it's going to be the first time, someone who's married with children. So what's your that?
Yes. So Doc Arnie, since she already got accepted, right, by the what do you call this one?
She's competing.
She's competing. It means
It's
that
official.
she was screened already in her country to compete.
So you agree, right, with this change?
Yeah, sure. I agree. As long as she does her responsibilities as a mom, as a wife, and she can balance her time during that 1 year of preparation and then another year of reigning if ever she gets that Miss Universe. But now she's a Mrs. But how can we give her the title Miss?
You see, that's exactly my point, and that's why for me, I'm not into this. I'm not into this change because, first of all, there's already Miss Universe, Mrs. Universe. And the title is Miss Universe. I have nothing against women who are married with kids. Please don't get me wrong. That's not my point. My point is it's called Miss Universe. I can agree to the age. You can even have someone who is 50 years old. I don't mind. For as long as that woman is Miss. Because it's Miss Universe. And then now you have someone who is married with kids, who is a Mrs. Why don't you encourage her to join Mrs. Universe? I don't know. For me, this is just my personal opinion. Speaker, listener, please. You have your own opinions. It's just a matter of respect. This is my own opinion. Anna has her own opinion. Because for me, it's called Miss Universe. That's my point. Miss Universe. Just like what you said, I believe you realized that, Anne, right? After your answer. And then you realize, wait, it's Miss Universe. That's
Wow.
just so I just want to ask you because again we're talking about current events and this is a current one in Miss Universe and Miss Universe is going to happen soon in El Salvador. So it's a good topic, I believe, for us to discuss this. Just something
Yeah.
that probably our speaker listener can also think about, whether they agree. Probably you can ask them, what do you think? Can you just send
Yeah.
us, what do you think about this? Having contestants in Miss Universe who are married, whether with kids or not kids, but married. Do you agree to have these candidates to join Miss Universe? And why?
Mm. That's the important part, and why, because you have to support your opinion with some facts, right?
Correct.
Mm.
We're talking about current events and how knowing current events or being aware of current events can help you in public speaking. And Anne and I, we totally agree that certainly, definitely, absolutely, current events can help you in order to make your contents more interesting. You can engage your audience more because, wow, they can hear something that everyone is talking about. And that helps you to become a more effective public speaker.
Exactly. You're very right, Doc Arnie. So I think a few months ago, we had this TEDx event here in Da Nang, and they asked me to be a coach. So we actually screened the TEDx speakers, and then they revealed to me after selecting 10 out of 20 speakers, they said, hey, there are 2 title holders that we are inviting for the big event of TEDx here in Da Nang. So I met the Miss Grand and then the Miss Universe, but she was a runner-up in the whole of Vietnam.
Oh, see.
Yeah, and both of them spoke at that event.
Right? That's
Yeah.
right.
And then I
English or
realized-
in
In English.
And a lot of
Yes.
Filipinos, I believe, are helping them. Because
Mm,
the teachers, Filipino teachers teaching English in Vietnam.
true. Exactly. This is amazing, Doc Arnie, and I'm sure that our speakers, listeners there in Western Visayas, or to all those Filipinos listening to this program, I'm sure they're learning a lot from this. Yes, very helpful. And
I hope so
Yeah.
too.
and we can apply right away. So for example, if you don't know how to answer that question, you just be honest and make sure that you still talk about it, even if you cannot really talk about that certain topic, but then you can, as
Be
long as you are
direct.
inside.
Yes.
Mhm. One time, the Arnie, when I joined New York Toastmasters, and they said, okay, this is the question, but if you cannot answer this question, feel free to just tell us about yourself.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
No pressure.
Yes, but at least they're giving you that option.
Yes, as long as you answer the word or you use the word of the day probably, and then your time is okay, why not, right?
Okay, of course.
Okay, wow. All right, so thank you so much, everyone. Thank you very much, DYVS Radio 1233 Kinaadman. And again, this is Speaking
With Arnie.
and Anne.
And remember, before you speak, you think.
And after you speak, you act.
Bye, everyone. Until our next episode.